Hello everyone, this is Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make the cotton picnic wrap. It is so much fun to make and super easy as well. It's all stitched in double crochets with increases only on one side. It measures a long 44 inches. And it's topped off with this adorable tassel just to give it a little fun. Now this is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog down in the notes underneath this video. To make my cotton picnic wrap, you're going to need 2 of the cotton Caron cakes or 7 ounces of any cotton that you want. Now, the neat thing about the cotton Caron cakes is that it is 60% cotton and 40% acrylic. And that makes this a nice absorbent cotton. But by having that little bit of acrylic in there, it also gives it a little bit more stretch than some of the other cottons that are 100% cotton have. And so it's a perfect yarn to make a wrap. Has nice drape and stretch and fits great. Now, like I said, you're going to need 2 or 7 ounces of any cotton yarn, or you can make this in acrylic as well because it is a number 4 weight yarn. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook. That's a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle for weaving in those ends and probably a pair of scissors. Now we will be starting down at the point and increasing our way up our shawl. So we're going to begin with our slip knot. And then we're going to chain 4. We're going to place 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. The first 3 chains will count as a double crochet. Yarn over, go in that 4th chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and go through the second 2. Now we're going to place another double crochet. So because we're counting our chain 3 as our first double crochet, 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 3. There we go. And turn. And that's the way row 1 should look. For row 2, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and it will count on every row. The chain 3 will count as your first double crochet. Now we're going to increase by 1, so we're going to place a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. And then we'll place a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And of course, that was our chain 3 that counted as our first double crochet when we started. And then we're going to chain 3. And so we increased from 3 double crochets to 4. We're going to turn our work, and on this row we're not going to increase on this end. So what we're going to do is place a double crochet in the next double crochet. There we go. So we double crocheted in each of the double crochets across, and now I'm going to place a second double crochet in this last double crochet. And the way this pattern works is we'll only be increasing on one side, and the other side we will not. All right, so we increased from 4 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because I placed that second double crochet right there. All right, so now we're going to chain 3 and turn our work. Now this is our increase side, so I'm going to place a double crochet right in that same stitch as my chain 3, and then I'm going to put 1 double crochet in each stitch across. One double crochet in my chain 3 from the previous row. And because this is the side that I'm not increasing, I'm not going to put another double crochet in the last stitch. So we're going to chain 3 and turn. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 double crochets. And you will increase by 1 double crochet every row, because you're increasing at the end of this row and then increasing at the beginning of this one. No increases on this side. If you have trouble remembering what side to increase on, you can always mark it with a stitch marker just to give you a little help, like that. Then you'll remember, never increase on this side, only increase on this side. All right, so let's do the next row. Of course, this is not our increase side, so we're going to go in the next double crochet, not the one with our chain 3. We'll stitch a double crochet in each stitch, and then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the last stitch. I'm going to place a double crochet in that last stitch, which is my chain 3 from the previous row. And then I'm going to stitch another one because this is my side that I increase on. I'm going to chain 3 and turn my work. Then I will place another double crochet right in that same stitch as my chain 3 because this is my increase side. And then I will place 1 double crochet in each stitch across. And see, here's my marker, so I know not to increase on this side. 1 double crochet in that last stitch and chain 3. Now, what you're going to begin to see is this side that is your not increase side will be nice and flat, but it will flare out this way. So we started with 3, then we went to 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's the way this whole pattern will work. It's alternating every other row, keeping your increases on this side. All right, so let's do a couple more rows so you can see exactly how that's going to work. So this is my not increased side, so I'm not going to stitch in the same stitch as my chain 3. I'm going to go to the next stitch and stitch 1 double crochet in each of the stitches across. Now this is the end of my row. I know this is my increased side, so I'll go right in my top of my chain 3 and stitch 2 double crochets. Chain 3. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochets. So I'm going to turn my work. This is my increased side, so I'm going to place a double crochet right in that same stitch as my chain 3, and then 1 double crochet in each stitch across. So you're alternating every other row because you always want to increase on the same side. So in one row the increase is at the beginning, and on the next row it's at the end, and on and on, alternating every other row. So now I'm in my chain 3, and I know this is my not increase side, so I'm going to just chain 3 and turn. And see, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're increasing by 1 every row. At the beginning of this row was not an increase row, so at the end we increased. So that tells us this is our side that we're increasing on. Then we flip our work and we increased on this side because this is our increase side. An increase just means we're adding another stitch to one that's already there, because our chain 3 always counts as a double crochet. And so the way the pattern is going to work is every row you'll increase by 1 stitch, and you'll alternate every other row like these two. Increase here, no increase here, no increase here, but the increase is here. Okay? I'm going to do one more row just so you can get a really good idea of what I'm doing. So I've got this marked with a stitch marker, and I'm just going to move it up just so I can remember. This is my not increase row. So don't increase. Don't put an extra stitch in there. Go right to the next double crochet and stitch across. So since we did not increase at this end, that tells us we need to increase on this end. So I'm going to place 2 double crochets in this last stitch. And chain 3. And then turn our work. Now, because we increased on this side and our stitch markers on this side, we know we need to increase. So we put our double crochet right in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we just stitch across. Whoops, almost skipped a stitch there. Alrighty, now we're at the end of this row. We know this is the end. We don't increase, so we just place 1 double crochet in that last stitch and chain 3. So just so that you understand the way this pattern works is one side is straight with no increases, and like I said, it's a really great idea to mark that side with a stitch marker. The other side begins to curl out, and that's exactly what we want our wrap to do. When you get to the end, you're going to have a wrap that's about 44 inches long, and the top part's going to be about 26 inches wide. Each row you'll repeat like we did on these last 2 rows. You'll increase at the end of this row, you'll turn, and then increase at the beginning of the next row. And then you will not increase on this side. Each row you will gain 1 stitch. It will become 1 stitch wider. And you just continue to repeat these last 2 rows until you reach row 80. Or longer if you want it to be longer. You will just about use all of your 7 ounces of your Karen cake. Again, I just want to make sure you understand how the pattern works. Every row is increased by 1 stitch only on one side. So like this row, we did not increase here. We went across, we increased on the end, we turned, we increased on the same side, and then we stitched across and did not increase on this side. That's why I like to use that stitch marker. And again, you'll continue this for 80 rows for a 44-inch wrap. All right, let's make the tassel. You're going to start first with cutting off two pieces that are about 12 to 14 inches long. And we're going to move one of those aside and leave one out. Then you're going to need something like a ruler or a piece of cardboard that's about 6 inches long. And then I'm going to wrap about 6 or 8 times, maybe 12, depending on how thick I want that tassel around. And then I'll just cut that. Then I'll go to this end, slide it off, and take this string and put it through those loops. Like that. And then I just tie a knot like this. Okay, that's the top of our tassel. And I sort of brush them down, and I take that other piece that we cut and I go down an inch or so and just wrap that around a couple of times. And I tie it snugly, but make sure everything's where I want it to be. All right, then I'll take my hook and just pull that string under, just so it doesn't stick out. Hook in and pull it under. There we go. And then I can decide how long I want my tassel. And I like a nice long fun tassel, so I'm just going to cut it like that. And that's how you just make a fun little floofy tassel. And just take your tassel and attach it to the end of the pointed end of our picnic wrap. I just put it through a couple times and tied a couple knots. If you're worried that it's going to come undone, you can dab that with a little fabric glue, and that'll keep that knot from coming undone. But I haven't had any trouble with this yarn coming unwound. And that's how easy it is to make my cotton picnic wrap that's perfect for summer mornings or evenings, spring mornings or evenings, even through the winter, those that live in the warmer climates. This is a perfect little wrap for you.